Hey folks, this is Jake Davis bringing you my first of 9 videos ranking every Best Picture winner of all time. Yes, this is a monumental task I've taken on, and no one asked me to do it. I'm bored. Of course, when I say Best Picture, I mean the Academy Award for Best Motion Picture of the Year. The Academy Awards was founded in 1929, at the time recognizing the films of 1927 1928. This year is the first year they've ever been postponed, but they're still going to happen. So, I've said before that I've seen every movie to ever win Best Picture, and I first set out to intentionally try to achieve this when I was still in high school. It was just many of my little feats I gave myself as a self-made film historian. I want to have an opinion about everything, about every year, about every film, and I think the Academy Awards is a big part of the history of movies. Now, I didn't know exactly how to go about this. At first, I was thinking of maybe doing this in volumes, just going from my least favorite to my most favorite, like that. But then I kind of realized that, I'd spend the first 3 or 4 videos talking about movies I didn't really give a shit about, so, that's no fun. So I said, fuck it, in the eyes of pop culture, 2020 was the dawn of a new decade. It really started this January, but be that as it may, I say, well, before we get to that, let's just go through that decade by decade, 2010s, 2000s, 90s, and so on. So that means there'll be 9 volumes of this. I'm going to lump in the 2 ceremonies held in the 1920s with the 1930s. So the last volume will be 12 films, of course. Here we go. Yeah, let's get into it. Ranking every film to ever win Best Picture, decade by decade. Wow. Okay. So, I thought at one time about doing this as a live stream too, but I thought, man, what would be the fun of doing a live stream of me just talking to myself for 2 hours? Just as a quick little, not a caveat, but a little thing here. Just going by the domestic records, U.S. records here for these movies. All 10 Best Picture winners between 2010 and 2019 were released, or the movies that won for those years, were released in between October 11th and December 1st. They made as much as $136 million and as low as $27 million. So admirable to, that's a shame. But they're not ranking these based on anything other than my personal opinion on them. So let's get into it. Number 10, Spotlight from 2015, directed by Tom McCarthy, starring Michael Keaton, Mark Ruffalo, Rachel McAdams, Liev Schreiber, John Slattery, and Stanley Tucci. In addition, a picture of this movie also won the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay, which is the only film to win the only Best Picture winner to only win 2 Oscars. Even fucking Wings won 3. Anyhow, this is the story, takes place in New England in the early 1980s. It's a true story of investigative journalists trying to expose sexual predators in the clergy. What's good about the movie is Rachel McAdams is okay, and the testimony scenes are truly powerful. What I really didn't like the movie, or the film, really just hits a stump as far as I'm concerned, is that it is just, you've seen it. I've seen all of this before, and I'm going to say that often in the first few movies that I mention here. I'm just going to turn this light down a tad. It's very, very bright, bugging me a bit. There we go, baby. Anyhow, so, with Spotlight, I've often criticized melodramas as being very much kind of movie of the week kind of vibe, but this isn't even movie of the week. This feels like a random episode of Law & Order SVU. You know what I mean? I just really didn't enjoy this movie at all. I mean, it's not a bad movie. I mean, the acting is good enough. But the characters, there's really nothing there. There's nothing of any real meat to sink your teeth into in this movie. And as far as, I mean, come on. Exposing pedophiles in the Catholic Church, yes, it's a serious issue. But if you can find me one movie made in the last 30 years that's even said the word Catholic without instantly mentioning pedophilia, I'll fucking buy you a cigar. Haha, you got to my barrier. I'm shooting this video. Haha. Shoot a video. Number 9, Green Book from 2018. Directed by Peter Farrelly, starring Viggo Mortensen, Mahershala Ali, and Linda Cardellini. This movie also won. I'm in the office shooting a video. This movie also won the awards for Best Supporting Actor as well as Original Screenplay. Again, this is not so much it's a bad movie, it's just something I've seen so many times. And as far as TV movie, it feels like the kind of TV movie that gets rerun a lot during the holidays in the early afternoon on the weekend on, like, network television. That kind of vibe of a movie. The reason it kind of places itself above Spotlight is because the performances. Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali are both very good in this movie, and they have a good chemistry with one another. You want to go to Mama? Mama? Yeah, go Mama. Hey. Hey. She scratched my lip.
Bump the camera.
But, it's just that, it's something I thought I'd seen before. Oh, the whole story of this movie is Viggo Mortensen. It takes place in the 1960s, and Viggo Mortensen is a New York Italian part-time leg breaker who gets a job to drive a black gay piano player across the South to make his shows. It basically just deals with bigotry that, frankly, both men have towards one another. And, like I said, it's not that it's a bad movie. I'd seen it. Not only have I seen this, if I sat down and wanted to, I probably could make you a 50 film list that covered everything in this movie. There wasn't a scene, there wasn't a line, there wasn't a shot in this movie I hadn't seen before. And also, I meant to do this, but I got distracted by my daughter. She was also going to tell you what I would have voted for. Over Spotlight in 2015, I would have voted for The Revenant. In 2018, I would have voted for Black Panther. Why Black Panther? Because it's the only superhero movie to ever be nominated for Best Picture. The only film in its entire genre that can claim such a thing. So yeah, it would be my pick. Sorry, my daughter is... I should name my kids Hurricane and Tornado. Doesn't help I can't lock a door in this house. Number 8.
Come on, Scarlett. Come on.
The Artist from 2011. Directed by Michelle Hazanavicius, starring Jean Dujardin, Berenice Bejo, John Goodman, James Cromwell, Penelope Ann Miller, Missy Pyle, and Malcolm McDowell. Will you get out of here, you butt munch? Get! The story of this movie is the end of the silent movie era, and a huge film from the silent films from that era struggles with dealing with the dawn of talkies while he falls in love with a natural star of the new era filmmaking. It's the exact same plot, exact same story as Singing in the Rain. I mean, it's like exact. Now, of the 10 movies that won Best Picture this decade, this is probably the only movie on the list that I genuinely did not like when I saw it. You know what I mean? But the reason it goes above Green... Come on, girls. Can I get a break here?
I know, I'm in the bathroom, so...
Well, that's on the video now. Anyhow,
Come here.
who am I? Anyhow, The Artist. It has terrific photography and a good score and great costumes, and I really think the movie should definitely be commended for its casting. You know, anyone who has a background role just walks by in the background of this film. It looks like they belong in a silent movie. But this movie, in addition to picture, also won the Oscars for director, actor, costume design, and original score, which made it the most Oscar-winning Best Picture winner of the decade. But, locking this damn door. Hold on. Made the most Oscar-winning Best Picture winner of the decade. But considering how Mad Max Fury Road, La La Land, and Gravity all won more Oscars than this, and none of those won Best Picture, I mean, it's hard to make the argument that even the Academy believed that anything that won Best Picture this entire decade was even what they thought was the Best Picture. It was a weird decade for the Oscars, is what I'm saying. Oh, man. I should have stopped this video 2 minutes ago. I just come back another day. I have no one in the house, which is never. Number 7 is, by the way, 2011, I would have definitely voted for Hugo. Number 7, The Shape of Water from 2017, directed by Guillermo del Toro, starring Sally Hawkins, Michael Shannon, Richard Jenkins, Octavia Spencer, Michael Stahlbarg, and Doug Jones. The story of this movie is a deaf woman. It takes place in the 1960s, and a deaf woman who, maybe the late 50s, I'm not exactly sure now. But this woman's deaf. She works for a government facility, and she basically uncovers that they've discovered a gill man from the Amazon, and she and her friends basically help him escape and get back to his world. And on the way, she fucks him. And that's something I'm going to say about that. In addition, the picture also won Best Director for Guillermo del Toro, as well as original score and art direction. To me, it always just felt like it's just a greatest hits of Guillermo del Toro's previous films. You know what I mean? Am I just supposed to pretend I haven't seen Kronos and Pan's Labyrinth and Hellboy and just act like this is something new and fresh from Guillermo? And plus there's Michael Shannon's character, who is just, I hate villains like this, where they go out of their way to make them reprehensible in every conceivable they have one scene with him and his family just to show that he's nasty to his family too. You know what I mean? Take an example of the movie Mask of Zorro, Antonio Banderas movie from 1998. The villain Raphael, he's a monster, played by Stuart Wilson. Monster in that movie. But they make a point. They show he has a sympathy for children. He has a hesitancy to be violent towards children or to expose children to violence. And it makes his character more compelling, more human. You know, it doesn't take away from his villainness in any way, but it makes him a more interesting character. And they're so hesitant to do that nowadays with anyone in movies. Villains are just so cliche and predictable and just generically evil. You know what I mean? Like, there's no humanity to them at all. And aside from that, plot-wise, this movie it's Mighty Joe Young. It's Mighty Joe Young, except, in this version, the girl fucks the monkey. And what is with that? Just a real quick side rant here. Understand, in 1999 movie, American Beauty, with Kevin Spacey's character, Lester Burnham, is a creep. He's trying to fuck his teenage daughter's slutty best friend classmate. And that should be something that looks down. But you never but while his character is always shit on by, critics and shit like that, the fuck? Bella Swan and fucking this character from this movie are fucking monsters. They're monsters. This is an animal man. What the hell? It's bestiality at best. It's just, this was a freaky, weird movie, and if you think it's romantic, you got problems. Sorry. Why is it number 7? Because even Guillermo del Toro at his most forgettable and generic is still better than those other 3 movies I mentioned. Of the 4 films I've said so far, of the 4 bad movies I don't really like that won Best Picture, it's the best. Let me try to rush through the last of these. Number 6, The King's Speech from 2010, directed by Tom Hooper, starring Colin Firth, Jeffrey Rush, Helena Bonham Carter, Guy Pearce, and Michael Gambon. This also, in addition, won director, actor, and original screenplay. The story here takes place right on the dawn of World War II. Colin Firth plays the king, who has severe stutter. The Nazis, an impending invasion. His brother has refused the throne because he wants to marry a woman who's already been divorced, and that's against the monarchy, which, by the way, would have been a much better story for a movie. And he has to overcome his stutter and his other insecurities to kind of be bold and strong for the sake of his country. Truth is, it's a really good movie. It's a very good movie, and I liked it quite a bit. By the way, for Shape of Water, 2017, I would vote for Dunkirk. And for this year, 2010, I definitely would vote for The Social Network. But to be fair, from King's Speech on, every movie that won Best Picture this year, this decade, was a good movie. Number 5, Moonlight, from 2016, directed by Barry Jenkins, starring Trevante Rhodes, Mahershala Ali, Naomi Harris, Janelle Monáe, and Andre Holland. It's a story of a gay black man played by 3 actors in 3 different generations in 3 different decades. In his before 10 or around 10 to his teenagers to his late 20s, and it's a compelling story, and you can even make an argument. It's the first movie in decades that is the story about a young black man growing up in the hood that wasn't just Boys in the Hood. You know what I mean? And he's just fucking Moonlight's good. Moonlight's a really good movie. It's powerful. And it's a bit relentless because there's not a lot of humor or respite in this film. But, Naomi Harris is terrific. A star-making performance from Mahershala Ali. I personally probably would have voted for Hell or High Water for Best Picture. This movie also picked up the Oscars for Adapted Screenplay and Supporting Actor. Even though Mahershala Ali has maybe 30 minutes of screen time. But yeah, he's really fucking good in it. But yeah, Moonlight's something special. It's definitely, if you haven't seen it, you should give it a shot. It's a very good movie. A very poignant and powerful, emotional, character-driven motion picture. Number 4, 12 Years a Slave from 2013, directed by Stephen M. McQueen. I'm not calling him Steve McQueen. Starring Chiwetel Ejiofor, Michael Fassbender, Lupita Nyong'o, Benedict Cumberbatch, Paul Dano, Paul Giamatti, Alfred Woodard, Sarah Paulson, Garrett Dillahunt, and Brad Pitt. This is the true story of Solomon Northup, who was a musician, a black musician up north during the 19th century, who was shanghaied and sold in slavery down south and spent over a decade in slavery fighting to prove his freedom and to fucking save his own life. This is a great movie. This is a really, really good movie. One of the best scripts I adore the script of this movie. The dialogue is poetry in this film. And there's the phenomenal performance, especially from Lupita Nyong'o and Paul Dano and Chiwetel and Fassbender. It's so good. Giamatti, small role, so good in this movie. My only real fault I have with this film, by the way, also won for, like I said, adapted screenplay and supporting actress Yango. My only real fault I had with this movie was, and this was a problem I had with the movie before I even saw it. I mean, I could tell in the trailers that it had this. It was a bit too clean, like with costumes and with sets. It just everything, nothing really felt lived. You know what I mean? To give an example of the kind of stuff I like in costumes and stuff like that would be Luke Skywalker's costume, his first costume in the original Star Wars. I mean, it's dirty. It looks like it's been hand washed. It got stains all over it. It looks hand-me-down, like he's still growing into it. You know, all these provide layers that tell you something about him as a character. And everything just looked like it was just straight off the costume rack. And 12 Years a Slave for me. And it was, I mean, when you sit down and watch the movie, you're definitely caught up. You're in the moment. You're in the film, so it's not a distraction. But it's a visual thing. It's a little thing. You know, it's no way ruins the movie. But I mean, like as an example, if you were to tell me it's the best movie that won Best Picture this decade, I ain't gonna argue with it because it was phenomenal. I would have voted for The Wolf of Wall Street, and that's another thing. I'm just gonna say, even if. I'll tell you if the movie that won was the movie, so as we go through these 9 videos, if the movie I would have voted for did win Best Picture, I'll still give you at least the runner-up, you know what I mean? Oh, fuck, they're not all 30 minutes long. Number 3, Argo, from 2012, directed by Ben Affleck, starring Ben Affleck, as well as Bryan Cranston, John Goodman, Alan Arkin, Clea Duvall, Kyle Chandler, Scoot McNairy, Chris Messina, Victor Garber, and Tate Donovan. This movie also picked up the Oscars for adapted screenplay and film editing. Another weird thing I'll point out real quick here. In the whole 90-plus history of the Oscars, there's only been 5 movies to ever win Best Picture that didn't get a Best Director nomination, and 2 of those happened in this decade. That's just weird to me. Anyhow, Argo is the story. It takes place in the late 1970s. Story of American embassy has been stormed by terrorists, and many people have been taken hostage, but a handful of people have been able to escape and been hiding out in a nearby house. Ben Affleck plays a spy who's been sent in to pose as an American producer scouting the area for locations to make a new sci-fi epic, and his job is to sneak these people out of the country. It is so unpretentious, so straightforward, so intense, thrilling, direct. It's just a fucking good movie. There's no expectations. It's not trying to win Oscars or make $1 billion. It's just trying to give you a good fucking movie. And that's why it deserved to win Best Picture. And that's why it ranks so highly on my list. And Affleck's movies are so good about that kind of stuff anyway. Personally, when I voted for Best Picture, I mean, quite frankly, I probably would have voted for Argo. But, I mean, as the years have gone on, Beast of the Southern Wild has kind of taken a personal place in my heart. So let's say Beast of the Southern Wild will be my personal pick for Best Picture of that year. Number 2. Thank God, number 2. Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, from 2014, directed by Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu, starring Michael Keaton, Edward Norton, Emma Stone, Zach Galifianakis, Naomi Watts, Andrea Riseborough, and Amy Ryan. This is the story of Michael Keaton plays a guy who used to be a big movie star from playing a superhero character who's now trying to revigorate his career and reestablish himself as a legit actor by writing, producing, and starring in his own adaptation on Broadway. And the whole film is completely through his perspective and the illusion of one shot. And the truth is, the illusion of one shot is what hurts this movie for me personally. It's not really a bad thing, but it definitely affects, the rewatchability of this movie. By the way, I also took home the Oscars for director, original screenplay, and cinematography. The fact that this movie won any Oscars and not for Michael Keaton is ridiculous to me. But that's what's so cool. This movie is a love letter to action heroes and to popcorn movies. You know, these guys, these movies require good actors too. You know what I mean? Do you think the MCU would have been successful as it was without an actor like Robert Downey Jr.? Honestly. Seriously. That was the big change, you know? Let's get the prestigious, legit, Oscar-caliber actor to play the hero for a change. That was the big difference in 2008. But this was just, you know, I loved Birdman, and like I said, I also want to give credit for one other thing about this movie, was Emma Stone. Before this movie, I didn't really like her as an actress. I mean, she was super babe, had good comedic timing, but I didn't think she was much of an actress. But I think that she really stepped up to the plate for this role, and to be fair, has been there ever since. She should have won the Oscar for The Favorite, in my opinion. She was phenomenal, and that was robbed. But she already has an Oscar, so you know, I'm sure she's not sweating it. I would have voted for, however, even though I had no problem with Grand Budapest with Birdman winning, but I would have voted for the Grand Budapest Hotel. It's a fiercely funny movie featuring my single favorite performance of the entire decade, Ray Fiennes at M. Gustav H. That's if you're not counting Chris Evans' entire run as Captain America. And my number one best movie, or at least best picture winner of the decade, is Parasite from 2019, directed by Bong Joon-ho, starring Kang Ho-sung, Park So-dam, Woo Sik-cho, and Cho Yao-jung. I did write that down. This is the story of a wretched, pathetic, low-life, scum-ridden family slowly investing themselves into the lives of an unsuspecting douchebag, neurotic, yet naive, rich family. It made history last year by becoming the first foreign language movie to ever win Best Picture. In my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, it's a horror movie. Shape of Water may have a monster in it, but it's not a fucking horror movie. Parasite's a horror movie. Horror is about atmosphere. Joker is a horror movie. The Crow is a horror movie. Not Shape of Water. Anyhow, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. It went long. I got a lot of these to go, and I might have to pace them out if they end up turning out like this. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want to. I'm Jake Davis, and I'll catch you on the fly.